program right now. I'm here with Dan Willie, owner of Crest Dining and Event Center, just celebrating its 10-year anniversary. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a fast 10 years.
Has it been?
It has. It's hard to believe it's been this quick to go by. But yeah.
Well, as you reflect on the last 10 years, kind of talk about some of the takeaways that you have.
Well, I mean, if you want to know how this started, I've been involved with the Boys and Girls Club for like about 16 years, and we started putting on a banquet auction, and we used to have a hard time finding places to hold the banquet, and either parking was not good, the facility wasn't big enough, or they didn't have catering available or whatever. So that kind of created the idea of an event center in my mind. And then we kind of started looking around and couldn't find a good spot for it. And then one day, a gentleman I know, Ken Stutzman, came to me and said, "Dan, I got the perfect spot for you, I think," and brought me out here. And I looked over this canyon rim, and I just fell in love with it. And so the next thing was we started trying to figure out how we'd put it together and get the financing and make it happen. And before I knew it, a year or so later, we had an event center, a restaurant, and a bar. And it's been a fun thing. It's worked really good for the Boys and Girls Club and Valley House and CSI Foundation. A lot of fundraisers, a lot of weddings, a lot of good activity here. So.
Well, and here it is, this beautiful facility, over 21,000 square feet. You went big.
Way big, way big dreamer. Yeah.
Now, is that because you saw the future growth, the potential of Twin Falls, and knew that we would need a facility like this?
Well, I'm a believer in Twin Falls, and we've been here almost 40 years now, and I have other businesses, and so I've seen the growth, and I knew the growth was coming, and I expect more of it in the future. But I might have been one of those guys a little bit ahead of my time, bigger than it needed to be, but it's okay. It's a great facility, and it's going to be awesome someday. And Canyon Rim property is going to be hard to come by, and this view is, you can't beat it.
You can't beat it at all. And you see a couple of the properties around here, for sale signs. You see some development going up around you, but you were kind of that pioneer to kind of get that ball rolling a little bit. So if you could look into your crystal ball, what do you see as the next 10 years for both Canyon Crest and the area immediately surrounding it?
Well, I think with all the activity in Twin Falls and the Chobani and expanding again, and the Jayco and expanding again, and Cliff Bar and all those businesses moving in, it's going to bring more businesses in, and I have a lot of faith in this city and this area and the Magic Valley, and so we keep expanding our convenience store side of it, and yeah, because we're believers, and so I think this rim eventually, I would think, it'd just keep on growing, and someday I think somebody's going to build a big hotel right next door to me, and that'll be awesome too.
Well, you look at the past 40 years, and of course the success you've had with the Oasis stores and the Kickback Rewards program, and everything that you've been able to accomplish. Take me back to, what was it, 1979, when kind of that whole thing started. I mean, is all of this what you envisioned, or?
No. No, in 1979, I had a chance to acquire the I-80, not I-84, but I-80 at that time, mobile station out on by the Hanson Bridge. Mm-hmm. So I brought a partner over with me, Mike Hunsaker, and we got that thing started. And we took another store down on Blue Lakes, a Chevron service station, and put another partner in that. So we had those two, and that got going, and one thing led to another, and pretty soon we had one in Ketchum, and we had one over in Montpelier, a truck stop, and then that was in 1979. Up through about 1983, we opened the Oasis Food and Spirits on Blue Lakes Boulevard. And then in 85, we bought a big truck stop up in Oregon, three of us, and called Pioneerville Truck Plaza. And it just kept going from there, and then Jackson's, I think in 1999, bought the Circle K's, and they leased those to us to run. And we just kept growing along, and then a couple of years ago, Jackson's again bought the Twin Stop Chevrons, and we're leasing those from him. So today we have 24 convenience stores, 3 truck stops, Canyon Crest, and we have the Kickback loyalty program that's pretty well gone nationally. So yeah, that was not the dream. The dream was we had a 5-year lease on the property out on the interstate, which eventually became Travelers Oasis, and which eventually I ended up buying and owning myself and my wife. And yeah, it's one of those things that you you can sit down and say, yeah, I had this great idea, and I knew that 40 years from now I'd have a restaurant, an event center, I'd have convenience stores, truck stops, none of that. And invented a loyalty program, yeah, never would have dreamed of it.
It just kind of happened.
Just happened. We followed our nose along, and
Yeah.
we actually got in other businesses. We had the dog feeding business of building dog feeders called K9 Kitchens, and we were actually selling those nationally in mail order catalogs for a few years with another partner. And we did a land development at one time, Willstar Enterprises, and we owned a couple of dealerships, Ford and a Chevrolet dealership in Soda Springs, Idaho at one point. We've sold those back to our managing partner over there. And so yeah, I'm that person who's a jack of all trades and master of none.
So why the life of an entrepreneur? I mean, why not just take a job and live the simple life? Because I know how stressful it can be being an entrepreneur.
Well, looking back, it's the very best thing I could have ever done for myself. It's been good for my family. I've enjoyed it. Mondays and Saturdays and Sundays and Tuesdays all run together. It's just, there's never a day where I don't have something to think about. And I'm well past retirement age, and I'm still saying I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Now, there's stressful times. There's times when I need to borrow money from the bank and you can't get the loan you want, or things aren't going well, or you run into some kind of regulations. It's a problem. But I had a job out of college, two jobs out of college as a internal auditor traveling around the country, and after 7 years of that, and then running my own business in Pocatello for 5 years as a small bookkeeping business, I realized that I needed something different. And I in my jobs in Oregon in the first 7 years, you get off on Friday night and you could hardly wait for the weekend to come, and before you knew it, Monday morning was there again, away you go. And now this is all just kind of runs together, but it's fun. I've met lots of people. I've had wonderful employees over the years, and it's just been a good life for me. Yeah.
If you were able to mentor a brand new entrepreneur in 2018 today, what type of tips would you give him or her?
Well, I think you just got to find your niche. You got to find something that you can do. It may be something you're going to invent, something you're going to create, something you think should have been created, or something you can see that can be managed better than it's being managed now. A lot of businesses that we bought were there, and we just come along and said, well, if we had this business, we'd probably change that. We'd put a diesel island over there. We'd change it, the service bays into a convenience store, and I think you just kind of follow your dream. Now, I know it's a lot more difficult this day and age to start your business than it was 40 years ago, because when I came to town, we needed to borrow some money to get going, and we ran into Ivan Skinner at Twin Falls Bank and Trust and sat across the table, and he decided he should help us out and signed a one-form piece of paper, and he always said, his gut instincts told him who he'd loan to, and he trusted us. So today, you go in and fill out 45 pages of paperwork to get that same loan, and so it's tougher, but there's still help out there. There's SBA and there's other things that, bankers will work with you, but you just have to have an idea. And you see people all the time roll up their sleeves and open a business and make it go, and others don't. I don't know I don't think you're born with it. I think it's just you should have that desire that you want to work really hard. You have to work hard, and particularly when you first start. It's basically should be a 7-day-a-week job until you can get it off the ground and make sure it's running, and then you can cut back a little bit. So my theory has always been work hard and play hard.
And now here you are with all of these stores, all these businesses, hundreds of employees. Can you tell me about one of the challenges that you've had to face, and maybe how you were able to find a solution to that challenge?
Well, I don't know which one you want to hear about.
There's a few.
There's been a lot of challenges, and we've had everything from a person being murdered on the property to some liquor violations we had to overcome, to always getting the right manpower and putting the right people in the right seats on the bus to make it work. And of course, right now, everyone will tell you that labor's tight, and so it's a little harder to get employees than it was back in 2009, 2011. But that is a challenge always, that you either have too much or too little. When the economy is really good, that's a wonderful thing, but then that's when it's hard to get employees and keep your employees, and so that makes it tough. or you can have a bad economy and have no customers, but you got plenty of employees. So the perfect balance is somewhere in between those two, and you never know when it's going to happen. But there's the toughest challenge for me is having to fire someone. And I haven't had to do it very often, but and usually I'm able to delegate it to someone else, as a manager does the hiring and firing now. But back in the day, I've had to fire some people I've had long term and for good reason, but that's always hard to do. So, but the key to growing a business is you gotta have some element of leadership with your employees, and there's got to be a trust on both ends of it. And I don't say anything particular special to the employees, but I treat them good. I like them. I like to say hello to them. I like to call them by name. They like to call me by my first name. We're not formal at all. I'm not Mr. Owner or Mr. President or Mr. anything. I'm just Dan, and I don't think I've changed over my whole entire life, and certainly not these last 40 years. I appreciate what we have, and I appreciate the people in there that's rolled up their sleeves and helped me. So I don't know if that answered any of the question, but you could go on forever about individual things that might have happened, but the one thing you can't do, you can't bury the problems. You can't run from them. You have to face them. You have to know that today I've got to go do whatever it is I've got to do and take care of this problem, and this too will pass, and we'll go on to the next thing. And it's the way I look at it.
Well, now as we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Canyon Crest, what do you hope, Dan, that people think of when they hear Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center? Well,
I would hope that they'd think it's a great place to come to. It's great food and great service, and a beautiful building and a great location, and just everything is great, But I've also learned you can please some of the people all the time, and you can please all the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. So what we try to do is please as many as we can, as much as we can, and I'd like to see this business grow where you had a waiting list to get in the door, and we do in certain events like an Easter or Mother's Day or Father's Day, you have to have reservations, and there's people we turn away, but there's always room. We build it big enough to grow a lot. If I had it to do again, I probably would have made the event center another capacity for another 100 or 200. It would have been better yet if we'd had the space to do it. We fill that room up an awful lot of the time. We can comfortably seat about 400 people in there. 8 people to a table, 50 tables. Sometimes we squeeze in 10 people to a table and it gets tight, and we can get 500. But there's events where they could go 600 or 700. The Boys and Girls Club, again, we started with just a handful of people, and over the years it's grown and grown and grown, and now they're always trying to figure out how to get a little more space out of this. So I think they're going to move into the restaurant this year and have a lot of their silent auction items over here and stuff to give them more room again. So that's a good
So maybe
thing.
you didn't make it big enough.
Didn't make it big enough for some events, but
Yeah.
But you have to have enough of those big events to keep it going too. So yeah.
Now, if you could find a time machine, go back in time, 1979. There's Dan. I think he was about 35-ish years old.
Yeah. Now you're going to put the age
now
right
people
on
are going to
me.
be doing the math.
Let's see, 79. Let's see, 21, 31, 39. Yeah, 39 and 35. What does that make? That makes about 74, doesn't it?
Ooh,
Holy
a young
schmoly.
74.
I hope so. I keep telling this story that every time I go in to get a loan at the bank says you've got to sign this form that says you're going to stick around for another 20 years to pay the loan. So I have now made promises to live to be 140.
Well, at this rate, why not, right?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Well, but if you were able to go back in time to 35-year-old Dan, you're just getting started, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'd have to think that one through, I guess, but my banker, Ivan Skinner, always warned us not to expand too rapidly, but I'm not sure that was a real problem, but we've always rolled everything over, so we've always stayed deep in debt and borrowed and kept going, but if we didn't, I'd be sitting here at 74 and maybe only have 5 businesses or something, so we've had to roll the ball. There's been a few times along the way that I didn't know if we was going to make it or not. I mean, when it'd be panic time, you're like, geez, how are we going to do this? How are we going to pay that? So I don't know if I'd put myself quite as much, or put as much pressure on myself as maybe at times we did. But I don't think I'd changed a lot of things. I see some businesses that are really concentrate on one area and they do a really good job. And as you've listened to me this morning, I've been helter-skelter. I've tried this and that and the other thing, and probably we've done a lot of things and probably haven't done them all as good as they could have been. So maybe I would probably specialize a little more in making sure that we're getting each thing as good as it could be before you go into another field, you know. So,
but that's part of the fun, right?
It really
is
has
rolling
been.
the dice and trying new things, and you never know if it's going to be successful unless you try it, right?
Well, that's true. I've like I said, I've never been bored. Honestly, I can't think of a period in my 39 years that I woke up thinking, well, what am I going to do this week or this day? Or, you know, I've always got thoughts, and even today I've got plans on several of the businesses, how to expand them, how to change them, the makeup of the type of foods. I mean, there's just all kinds of things. If I had the cash right now, I'd probably do it right now, but we'll wait until we pay a few more debts down, and then we'll go to the next step. But yeah, so I don't know if I'd change a lot, but we could be better at what we were doing than we were at the time. We being my partners, me, and family, yeah.
Well, so are you going to ever retire, or is that just not even a thought?
If I do, it's going to be just kind of phasing out. You know, I don't have the tough life now. I still get to go play golf on Thursdays and little league golf on Tuesday nights, and so it's not like I'm working 7 days a week. And you know, to me, that's the retirement: being able to get away when you want to, go on a vacation, go on trips, and then come back to the business. I got 2 boys involved, and the plan is that as I phase out, they phase in. They're already very active in the businesses. Troy is the CEO of the Oasis Stop and Go convenience stores, and Mont's our IT guy and right-hand man to Troy, and kind of like the jack of all trades and operations manager. So they've both learned the business, but you know, I started both of them when they were 12 years old in my businesses, and they've learned the work, and so people appreciate them because they've seen them grow up through the company, and they know every job that they're now trying to supervise. So.
Now, with the 10-year anniversary here, we're celebrating with scratch card giveaways. Over $70,000 worth of giveaways and discounts, 10,000 scratch cards. Tell me a little bit why you decided to do that promotion for the 10-year anniversary.
Well, because it is 10 years, and we do want to give back to the community, and we want to thank the patrons that's helped us survive and go along this business. And we've used that scratch card thing when we had one of our anniversary years at Stop and Goes, and the customers really like that. You know, it's just that element of having a chance to win something, and so we've set it up so there'll be no losers. Even the lowest prizes will still be a prize. You get something for free the next time you come in. So that'll be fun, and so the customers will come in and have dinner or drinks or whatever, and when they get ready to leave, they'll pay their tab and they'll get their card, and they can scratch it off, pull the tab actually, and see what they've won, and then they can bring it back the next week, next month, and redeem it. And we got a whole lot of prizes, but it does tally up over $70,000. So this can be exciting for everybody. I'm excited about it.
And as you look back over, not only the 10 years with Canyon Crest, but also, all the other businesses and the things, what are you the most proud of today?
Wow. Well, I'm proud that I still can make my payments to the bank. I haven't gone bankrupt. I'm proud that my boys have grown up in my businesses and following kind of my footsteps, and I learned from them and they're learning from me, so it's been a win-win. Proud of my wife that supported me all these years, because without her, you couldn't make that happen. And I'm proud of the things that I've been able to do in the community. And it's, I'm not as active as I should or could be, but certainly the Boys and Girls Club is the one thing that I chose that I really have enjoyed, and I've been on their board for over 16, 17 years, and I'm a big believer in helping the youth. You need to mentor the youth to give them a chance to survive and wind their way through this tough world and grow up. And I think that's the way I look at it. That's my future employees. That's the future business leaders in the community. It's the future people that's going to be running the community, the mayors, the councilmen. It's the future of our country. You can help a lot of different things, but that's the one I've really chosen to help is these kids. And we have CSI students who are 18, 19, 20 years old that's working over there, and they're the mentors to these kids. And then these kids grow up to be 14, 15, and suddenly they get a chance to be junior leaders. And And it is just a win-win. So I'm very proud of what I've done there. That's one of my most proudest accomplishments.
Nice. Well, Dan, 10 years, Canyon Crest, it flew by.
Yep, the next 10 will fly by faster. The older you get, the faster they go by.
Well, congratulations on all the
thank you very
success.
much.
And we'll maybe be sitting here 10 years from now talking about the 20.
All right, let's plan on it.